Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of We're Not Dead Yet, although my co-host pushed the envelope. How you feeling, bub?
Hey, came back from the happiest place on earth, brought along a raging case of COVID-19, and found out yesterday, today being I don't even know what today is, September
23rd?
23rd, that I've got pneumonia as well. Pneumonia, COVID, and a lovely trip to Mickey Mouse's house. It's all a good time. When you're 60, uh, COVID and pneumonia's not a minor thing, and it's been a miserable week and a half, actually.
But you
Uh,
just did
with
remind
with
me.
what was that?
Our giveaway prize was the ears.
Ah, I did pick up a set of, ears, so I have a giveaway prize, and, the grand prize winner from that episode in Disney is Andrew Collier, Collier. Andrew, we'll be sending you an email and, with information on contacting us and your snail mail address, and we'll get those ears out to you as soon as we can.
Hey,
Um,
go ahead.
go
Sorry.
no,
No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Aslock's in a couple weeks. Um, we're gonna have some product available. Why don't you tell everybody what the schedule looks like?
good call, I like it. The dude with pneumonia and COVID can do all the talking. Um, which is what happens when you make me cough, make me laugh. Okay, first thing out is, Action Pack 20. Will be out in time for Aslock. Everything's at the press right now, and we don't anticipate any problems. Um, it's standard action pack, got a mix of some scenarios and stuff. Action pack 21 called Blitzkrieg de Paris, if I remember correctly. It's all early war scenarios by Gary Fortenberry and Charlie Kibler. Uh, so that's another one of Gary's good packs. And then, of course, the journal is coming out. There were some frantic moments at the end. I know I was doing some proofing while I was laying in a bed in Disney World. I think it's going to make it. It should make it. It will make it. Let's be positive. And that should be out as well. So Kurt is going to be dragging along a ton of product to Oktoberfest.
Yep.
Of course, the Oktoberfest pack, which is number 20, will be sold through Brett, the guy who runs Oktoberfest. So you need to see him. The other two items you can get from Kurt. We will not have standard product, but I do understand that for at least part of Oktoberfest, Scott Blanton and the Gamers Armory, look at that free plug, uh, is going to be there with games and stuff to sell as well. So lots of things for people to spend their money on at Oktoberfest.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks. You can take a breath and relax. Sit
Awesome.
back. We're gonna talk about the championship scenario from WBC, Foreshadowing Ruin. Got multiple playings, but the Pleb and McGrath match, if you haven't seen that or heard it, we ended up getting a mic to the table after the match was over. But Brian and I were going to walk through that because that will be in Journal 16. Tweak little balance, but generally the play's the same. Board 22 and 92 with some two sides with monstrously talented OBs. Russians with I think 14 8 morale squads, mix of 628s, 458s with a 10-2. The Germans start out with an onboard force of 6.467s, but they get reinforced by the 1st Panzer Division, which is made up of a bunch of tanks, a lot of 5.48s, and the scenario kind of played out the way historically it played out. You had the well, we'll talk about that, but you had the Russians uh, coming on, swarming the Germans, and the Germans eventually trying to counterattack and take back. Now, it was obviously interesting to watch. Everybody wanted the attacker again. Um, but the one match I wanted to mention that was just abnormal in every sense of the word was Chad. I think Chad Cummings played JR, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but if you look at the maps, the Germans can set up along the road, west of the road, and there's 5 or 6, 1, 2, 3, 7 buildings that they need they need to hold one. And most everybody I saw set the Germans up with fortified in the K8 2-story building. I know McGrath had his gun in the H7 building, fortified. But Chad Cummings set all of his at-start forces on the German side in 22 P8, P9, O9, P7, right in that area, outside of any possibility of being hit by the turn 1 Russians, and he actually won.
For the record, we never play tested it like that. Uh,
No.
that thought never entered my mind, that it would be better to save all the at-start Germans instead of try to delay the Russians and reinforce the reinforcers and counterattack to take a building.
Right.
Damn near genius. Chad Cummings,
Yeah.
huge check mark for you, buddy. That was, I was so interested to hear that. Unfortunately, I was in the booth at the time, so I didn't get to see it. But wow, and that's just outside the box thinking. And that works in ASL too. Sometimes you can have outside the
Yep.
box thinking. I'm not
Yep.
sure your average players could get away with that. There's a lot of open ground here, but it makes it a whole different scenario from
Yeah.
what it actually we had intended for it to be.
No, I think he recognized the VC early on too. You just need to have one, just one of those buildings. And, there's a potential for late game half track, running a half track up to a building, unloading, yada, yada. But the Germans get to hit all their single man counter support weapons as if it were night. And if you look at the scenario card, the thing I think we really liked, and I think the players really liked, was there's a massive variance in how you can assemble your force. The Germans, the balance at the publication, I think, was exchanging the 9-1 for a 10-2. But there's 3 or 4 or 5 groups on each side where you get to select armor from. You start out with a Panther, and you can buy a Nashorn, a Mark IV. I'm curious. I feel like every time we played this and you played the Germans, you took the gun instead of the Panzerschreck, if
Did
I'm not mistaken.
I did.
And uh, it's March 44. There's Panzerfaust, obviously, but the
They're
Germans.
wee little Panzerfaust. They don't shoot.
Right, right, right. Um, So yeah, and then you, as the Russians, the initial, before we changed the force composition for the reinforcements, the Sherman group was a no-brainer because it was 2 Shermans and a 57 double L, which is a very good gun, by the way. But the Shermans are smoke-making machines. We tried to balance that a little bit by offering a T-34-85 and a Model 43 with a 9.2. Not sure if that does it,
Well,
but
my thought process on the gun versus the Panzerschreck is the Panzerschreck is awfully nice, but so's a Panther, and I already have one of those. So I can start taking out Russian armor right away. What can happen is a tank isn't going to control a building, and I can use that gun's IFE versus soft targets. So to me, the gun seems like almost a no-brainer choice. I hate to say it that way, because there are no no-brainers. But that's to me, it's basically a heavy machine gun with a decent crew. Um, Other people may vary, that's a play style kind of thing for sure. And I guess it would be a medium machine gun because I'm looking on the
right.
card, only a 4
And
IFE.
like I said, I saw McGrath had put his in H7 and fortified it. One of the interesting dilemmas was the roadblock, where to set the roadblock up, because I saw a lot of M7 medium machine gun fire lane down the road to stop the Russians from just freely doing whatever they want to do. One of the other pieces to this is if you look at the map, the hill on 92 on the left side, the long, thin hill, seemed to be the objective for the Russian armor on turn 1, getting up to that hill and getting some overwatch and being able to fire down the village from what would be the west side. That getting the half tracks up there. I watched some pretty interesting stuff. McGrath had the 10-2 in the Panther in S7, 22 S7, and he flamed a couple things with some. He had some decent shots, but then the Panther going from S7 down to U8 got shocked in T7 and ended up failing and dying. Um, and then but as he is wont to do, Mike McGrath turned a game that everybody thought was kind of over on turn one against Steve Pleva into a match. And he knew he was behind the 8 ball the whole time, but it he pushed it a lot farther than most other people ever would have pushed it. But
Felt like if that Panther hadn't have been taken out by the possible shock, that he might have actually won that game. I think the Panther was a real key piece in all that, and he was so close. And it's after turn one, I was like, wow, we had the biggest dud of a scenario for the two best players in the world on an internet footing, and it turned out to be a really great game. I was so
yep.
impressed.
And one of the things you'll see from the Germans early on, and is they come. I believe they come on with half their movement, right? Yeah, yeah. So Y6, 22 Y6, I believe it is the hex that gets you hold down immediately, and that allows you to fire all the way down the I hex row in on board 92, which is why I think some of the the Germans don't put the roadblock there to give them clear fire lanes for the tanks and whatnot. But the roadblock is an interesting thing. It was funny because they were kind of scoffing at the Ford, like the Germans get to place a Ford to cross that stream, and it turned out to be something that actually was very meaningful for Mike as he tried to get across the stream in the U9 V9 W10 area late in the game, and he didn't have the Ford. He just kind of half-assed, really didn't care about the Ford, and ended up being a pretty significant thing. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well. But yeah, you're as the Russians, you're looking at an enormous allotment of 8 morale squads with the 10-2 and 9-1, uh, 8180 heavy, and probably the big thing that I noticed everybody talked about was the 50 cals off the half tracks. The Russians have 2 American half tracks that they can pull a 50 cal off of and set essentially 3 heavies with a 10-2.
Um, it makes a heck of a strong point. 10-2 with 8 morale guys in a stone building. They're not likely to break. They might get smoked. Um, it's something that you can do easily enough. You can drive those scout cars on, use less than 25% of their movement, and uh, stop and bail out. Have the crew, not bail out's the wrong term, disembark.
Uh, yeah,
Uh, and if the people that disembark can choose the weapon they take. I've kind of gone over with this with Perry. We're both pretty convinced that they can take the 50s. They don't have to take the American mediums. Because normally when the crew abandons and grabs a weapon, it's an all movement factor thing or all movement point thing. So they can't even drive on the map and do that. They have to wait till turn two to get the crews out of them and the mediums. But you can get what are they? 248s, I think. You get a 248 half squad and a dismantle 50 cal. And if you play your cards right, you drive that to where the 10-2 is or near him. They hook up, and by turn two, you've got a gigantic amount of firepower.
yeah, it's a Death
It
Star.
really is a standard. It's got to be a standard move. You don't want to drive, in my opinion, you don't want to drive those things around where they might easily get taken out. I'm trying to remember if I think they're unarmored zeros, it looks like. So they
They're
have a little
armored.
more survivability.
They're
The first
armored.
version, yeah, they do have some armor. The first version, we had some unarmored vehicles in there too, and those things would just die off in a second because there's too much firepower on this map for them. But get the 10-2 and those 50s together. It's sounds obvious. It is obvious. I mean, that's a move you have to make.
All
Um,
right. So look at the I don't know if you have the scenario card in front of you.
I do. I do.
Okay. Talk to me about the Russian choices. Anything jump out at you?
Well, I really like the two Shermans and the 57 double L half tracks.
Right.
I mean, it's easy to laugh those half tracks off. They have no machine guns. They have zero armor. I think they're red movement points, if I'm not mistaken. They have very few redeeming features, except that 57 double L, which is a pretty daggone sweet gun that can take out basically anything the Germans have,
15 to
even the
kill.
Panther if they get lucky. I mean, they'd have to get really lucky. They'd have to roll like
Yep,
a 3
15
and
to
a
kill.
turret in. But still, it's a possibility, which is better than no chance.
And if I'm
Um,
not mistaken, yeah, the APCR is an 18.
so, bumps it up by 1,
19
I
out
think.
the 6 hexes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I think we play tested many iterations of this with various stuff. I like the KVs over the 122s because of the machine guns, but then adding that armor leader's kind of useful when you're trying to
Yep,
pound. And if I'm not
yep.
mistaken, the 122s might have smoke as well. Uh, that I don't. Let me pop into Vassal here and see if they do. I think they do. Um, there is some Russian capability to get some smoke, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, they have S8.
S8 in this, it's absolutely worthwhile. So there's good thing.
I'm not gonna dispute that, but okay, so in the Russian, nothing jumps out at you as the Russian as, "Oh my god, that's a no-brainer," which is what in the final version, we really tried to make sure that we didn't have that, and that's why there's so many options. Now, the German turn 1 reinforcements, and I'd said in the last 2 playings, I took the Jagdpanzer 4s with the 8.1 and the Stug 3Gs mainly because for the most part, every gun in the German OB can kill the Russian tanks. I wasn't really scared or worried about killing Russian tanks. So my biggest concern was having the most firepower and rooting 8 morale Russians out of stone buildings too. So
Well, you know me. If I have a choice and these are handy, I am going to be pulling the Panther because I like the Panther. Why? Take the Germans. Always take. Um, Now, I admit that gives me fewer barrels, although they should survive. I mean, it's rare that they don't. Um, they can get swarmed, but you keep the infantry handy. You play a nice tight mailed fist situation. I just like the Panther. And if you give the Germans the balance, which might actually be necessary, that 9-1 armor leader becomes a 10-2 armor leader. Who doesn't want a 10-2 armor leader for the Panthers? I mean, that's just crazy. Second group, I think, don't you get two? You only get one.
you get 2.
Nope, two groups. I think you can't go wrong with the Stugs that have also an armor leader and some Panzerschrecks to give you a little bit more longer range capability. Um, Stugs for the smoke, of course. And then you've got 4 guns that literally can kill all the Russian tanks.
Yeah. So I was going to say, Mike took the Nashorn group, the turn 1 group, and I believe he took the Stugs, if I'm not mistaken.
Um, that 88 double L is sexy, no doubt. And if you can keep it back where it's hull down and still has a decent view, I can see it doing
Yeah.
damage.
And it does kind of put uh, S8, T8 on 92, those second level hill hexes, puts them on notice, right? I mean, because the Nashorn can sit back at the back of the board and sweep those hills,
For sure. It's all about finding a good spot for line of sight.
right?
These boards are pretty open,
Yeah.
even though they're stone city boards, but there's plenty of opportunity for lines of sight here.
A lot of fire lane opportunities down those roads. Again, the roadblock becomes strategic, I think, very strategic. And so anyway, yeah, and then this, like I said, if you guys can find it online, we'll try and put a link to the Pleb and McGrath final round match in which we ended up getting a mic to the table and listening to them talk post game, which I thought was pretty fascinating. So, hey, we're gonna let you go and nebulize. Take a break, and then we'll be back on our regular time Sunday. Uh, regular time, and hopefully have Nick here. And we'll get into some other stuff.
Yeah, the plan is to have Nick Richardson jump in, much like Carl did in an early episode, to discuss some IGS games, the state of the IGS games. I'm sure we'll have more ASL content. There will always be ASL content. And We do like to throw in some other guys just to show that MMP has other game systems, and we've had plenty of requests for that in the various comments that people have made. Um, to the one person who commented that we sit too close to the cameras, I apologize. I just have a big head. I'm actually sitting far, far away, and it just looks that large.
Yep. And
Um,
I'm just in a closet, so, um, I'm stuck.
we can't afford to be
Trivia
out.
this week. What's the email they send the trivia answer to?
Trivia, MMP Gamers. What is it? It's podcast at mmpgamers.com. There it is. I had to think.
This week's trivia question, what is my hat represent? What
Well, that was last
organization or
trivia.
business? Huh?
That was last week's trivia question. And I don't know the answer. So, wow, now I got to ask you after we're off camera. All right, there you go. What's the hat mean?
All
Uh,
right, guys.
Send it to that email. We'll give something away. We'll probably do another one of the, since it'll be that time, we'll do another one of the ASLOC bundles where you get one of
Right.
everything.
Oh, hey, did you wanna mention the reprint stuff? We got the Hazel starter kit or the eHazel? Yeah, the
Yeah,
pHazel.
we briefly dipped out of print on the Hazel Pocket rulebooks, but the new version, or the new print run came in, so they should be back in stock. I absolutely want to thank the people that worked on that product. I can't tell you how. I mean, it's insane how much effort went into that just for something that's gonna pay off one time for us with the E version, and people will pick up the Pocket version because they're like me; they want to have something tangible in their hands. But it's absolutely fantastic. So then maybe one time we'll unveil it or something, and I don't think we'll have it by Sunday, but maybe if I can get some proofs, we could possibly do an unveiling of some of the stuff from ASLOC. If not this week, uh, maybe the next. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I think the next 2 Sundays from now will be as close as we get to ASLOC before Kurt's actually on the road. Uh, I was going to be able to go to ASLOC for a few days. Unfortunately, Mother Nature, Mickey Mouse, and various illnesses are preventing that now because I, quite frankly, have run out of paid time off. So there you go. I get to sit at home and wish that I wasn't sick all week in exchange for you guys having a great time playing ASL. Winter offensive update, real quick, while I happen to be thinking about it. The what I thought was going to be excellent location is not going to be an excellent location because it turns out the hotel is being fully renovated at the time period we need it. So they came back to us and said, well, there's other hotels within 5 miles. They could stay there and just come to the event. I don't think they get
No,
the essence of our event.
no.
We continue to look. It's getting tight. Anybody near MMP, lower Pennsylvania, I even hate to say it, upper Northern Virginia, that think they have a location that would work. We need roughly 7,000 square feet of convention space that people are happy to donate to the World War II Foundation. Oh, man, I just keep thinking all these things that pop up. World War II Foundation, selected by uh, National Geographic as one of the finest World War II museums, not in America, in the world. Uh,
Nice.
I will find that link and make sure that gets put up as well. It's an interesting read. It's a tiny little museum. It really is in Rhode Island. If you have a chance, you should go. They have some of the most eclectic things you've ever seen. There's a trunk of photographs that people have donated from attics of their houses. And I was looking through them, and there's like never before seen photos of Pearl Harbor,
I was just
basically
there
right after
2
it
weeks
happened.
ago. Yep, yep,
Amazing,
yep.
amazing museum. You should go if you have the chance. Talk to y'all on Sunday. Hopefully, I'm not sounding like a waterlogged duck, and we'll see you then. Okay, guys?
Take it easy, guys.